Okay, thank you so much for the kind introduction. Uh, dear Excellencies, dear distinguished guests, and people of Moldova, especially the young researchers and young students. It is my great honor to join the summer school and discuss with you. So first of all, I'd like to thank Professor Young Chiginyanu and the organizers for giving me this honorable opportunity. Uh, Today, I'd like to talk about what are the most important characteristics of a scientist. And of course, this subject is too big for me because at first, I'm not a scientist. But when I was a student and a young researcher's age, uh, I had some experience like a scientist. And I do believe this experience, my experience, gives some hints to the young generation. So today I'd like to discuss with the most important characteristics of a scientist. Okay. In my opinion, there are three important characteristics as a scientist: the vision of the future, and the second, enthusiasm, and third, perseverance. Maybe first two term is easy to understand, but for third term, perseverance, in my research career, the mind often faltered. But in such a situation, it is important for the researchers how to endure hard situations. So let me start by my experience of blue LEDs. How blue LEDs change our life. Uh, the reason why you can enjoy the full color displays, smartphones, PC, and TV is because of the emergence of blue LEDs and contribution of the gallium nitride based LED lightings for energy saving is huge. For example, according to US Department of Energy, from 2017 to 2035, within these 18 years, the people in the United States can save about 22.9 petawatt hour, which is 2.29 times 10 to the 16th watt hour, which correspond to US $819 billion. It's a 16 trillion Moldovan rate. So this technology, blue LED technology, has gone from blue to now emitting deep ultraviolet light. We can provide water purification system by deep ultraviolet LEDs. There were serious problems, and the demand is for a device that can ensure drinking water in a harsh environment such as earthquake, tsunami, typhoon, battlefield, and so on. And demand is for lightweight, compact, low power consumption, durable, and vibration resistant equipment. So we can provide such water purification system. So you can drink even a natural river. But inside this system, our DPUV LEDs is installed. And this system can also use as the air purification. So we developed air curtain system which sterilize for example, COVID-19 polluted air. This is the example of air curtain. Our air curtain system at blood collection. She is the healthcare workers, nurse, and we can protect her, doctors, and other healthcare workers from infections. Okay, so let me explain why blue LEDs were born in a very, very poor Japanese university at that time. The reason for this is due to my supervisor when I was a student, late Professor Isamu Akasaki, his persistence. He had been seeking his own originality. Let me explain the reason why. He was born in Chiran, the Kyushu Island, the southern part of Kyushu Island, which was famous for an Army Special Attack Unit base during World War II. Army Special Attack Unit base means all the pilots were suicide squad. But when he was a primary school student, on the way out of school, he had experienced a machine gun fire from Grumman Hellcat, and he could see the pilot grinning. Okay, and he entered the Kyoto University and then Kobe University and Nagoya University. Then he entered the Matsushita, now Panasonic, and he encountered with LEDs, the red and green LEDs. Business was so successful. However, he had to follow patents owned by US company to commercialize red and green LEDs. So he had been seeking his originality. That's why he started blue LED research in 1974. And he and his group succeeded to fabricate MIS type, old type metal insulator semiconductor. It's not PN junction, MIS type LEDs, but he had to use a patent owned by a US company. So he wanted to continue the blue LED research. However, manager of Matsushita decided to quit the blue LED project. Therefore, in 1981, he had to move to Nagoya University. At that time, almost all the industry people worldwide abandoned gallium nitride blue LEDs. Therefore, he said, I went alone in the wilderness. My case, my dream when I was an undergraduate student was the computer system. And after the success of Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969, the computer technology booming came. So Bill Gates and Paul Allen established Microsoft, and Steve Jobs and Stephen Wozniak established Apple. So during the summer vacation of my freshman year of undergraduate, I earned money by working part-time on the night shift at an engine manufacturing. It's a very dangerous manufacturing facility and boat, and the best computer at that time, Fujitsu FM8. And I enjoyed the programming, the basic programming to create games like Invaders. So my first interest was semiconductor and the computer system. But when I saw the graduation research subject, gallium nitride-based blue LEDs, the Akasaki laboratory, I suddenly decided to join Akasaki laboratory. I thought, this is it. The reason is, at that time, as a display, brown tube was used, which is too big. So I thought, if I can invent blue LEDs, I will change the world. So I got a vision of the future of display, that is, flat panel display. So what is LEDs? In a Christmas tree, the small blue ramp is many blue ramps are installed, and inside the blue ramps, the LED chip were installed. The LED chip is very, very small. And there are several requirements for efficient blue LEDs. And for example, N-type and P-type gallium nitride and the indium gallium nitride luminescent layer. But first, I focused on growing high-quality gallium nitride crystals. The Akasaki laboratory at the time was it was very, very poor, and the research fund is around 3 million Japanese yen, which correspond to US dollar 22,000 US dollar or 400,000 Moldova lei per year. To purchase the crystal growth system, we need more than 100,000 US dollar. So the students developed our own original handmade reactors. And then the bachelor's, master's, first year, and the second year, 3 years, I concentrated on trying to grow gallium nitride crystals. But I could not grow high-quality gallium nitride crystals. But in such a desperate situation, I enjoyed to repeat the experiments. The experiments I did from my first year to third year of undergraduate were not fun because they were made by research assistants and young researchers, and I knew the results. But this time, I made our own MOVP reactor and were able to think about the experiment on my own. So I have never had such an enjoyable experiment. So I was extremely enthusiastic. And turning point of my life happened to enter the doctoral course. In August 1984, Professor Akasaki recommended me to enter doctoral course. Although I could not succeed in growing high-quality gallium nitride crystals for almost 3 years, I was enthusiastic in growing crystals. Therefore, I decided to enter doctoral course at the end of August. But in September, trouble happened in my family. Therefore, I lost the financial support from them. But I was very lucky that I was able to obtain a scholarship from the Japan Scholarship Foundation by the support of Nagoya University, so I could enter the doctoral course. Then I made a decision that I will try with my life differently than everyone else. This is my life. So if I choose master's, if I had completed my master's degree and entered the workforce, life spent comparing myself to others. But fortunately, I could choose. I was able to go on to a PhD program, so I could live in my life this way, a life where I can pursue what I want to do. And At the end of master's course, I finally succeeded to grow high-quality gallium nitride crystals. First, I plan to grow thin aluminum nitride. Aluminum nitride research had been done by Mr. Koide, who was 1 year my senior. The Koide's aluminum nitride had a flatter surface than my gallium nitride. And to grow aluminum nitride, I knew I had to grow it at a higher temperature than gallium nitride. I started the experiment and realized that the growth furnace was in bad shape and could not reach the temperature required for aluminum nitride growth. But I was in a hurry and deposited aluminum nitride first, even at a low temperature. And when the growth was finished and the wafer was taken out of the growth furnace, the surface was the cleanest I had ever seen. So I thought, oops, I forgot to pour out the raw material. And I checked to make sure I didn't have made a mistakes. And I looked at it and under the microscope and found that perfectly flat gallium nitride had grown. I was moved beyond words. And then immediately I went to show the crystals to Professor Kasaki, but he calmly said, check the crystal quality by X-ray diffraction. He is a real scientist. And but I was extremely happy to write a journal paper, although my paper did not take any notice of other researchers because at that time, another material, zinc selenide, booming all over the world. No one was interested in the gallium nitride. But I became refreshed and tried to focus on overcome the second barrier, that is P-type gallium nitride. To get the PhD, I have to publish 3 journal papers at least. And many people, almost all the people thought that P-type was impossible because of the self-compensation. The self-compensation means that if I put the acceptor impurity, which will make P-type gallium nitride, it has the negative charge, but automatically the native donor, such as nitrogen vacancy, having the positive charge automatically form, which compensates the acceptor impurity. So it is called the compensation. But my impression of a cell compensation was only a poor excuse of the non-completion P-type. So I wanted to concentrate on P-type gallium nitride, but there are very strong emotional stresses. Elder person in the laboratory said, you should concentrate on fabricating old MIS type blue LEDs by zinc doping. But another rival, zinc selenide, already realized P-type conduction, and MIS-type blue LED grown by MVP had been already realized by others. So I had these major stresses, and I could not be motivated by old MIS-type LEDs. So I had to be perseverance. So my experience gained here is follow the belief that I have grasped for myself. Better not to follow the old people's advice. Okay. Why? I am the one doing the most experiments in the world right now. I thought that, but later I realized my mistake. There are much more amazing people in the US and Europe. But at the time, I believed that I was the most experienced person. And I felt that P-type gallium nitride can be done in the very near future. But this belief is totally baseless confidence. However, during my doctoral program, I experimented a lot, but never got P-type. So I thought that there must be something that I do not understand yet. So I would like to say that the courage and the perseverance to not to try until I found the path. I find the path that says this is it. And as a result, as a result, I was not able to complete my Doctor of Engineering and had to leave the doctoral courses. But thanks to Professor Kasaki, I was made a research associate of Nagoya University and continued the research. Immediately after I became an assistant, I was very excited to see the path to my goal. According to the textbook written by Phillips, the magnesium should be better than zinc in terms of activation in gallium phosphide. This finding, the goal of being the first in the world, released all my stresses. So with Mr. Kito, the master course students at that time, we realized the P-type and P-N junction LEDs. Crescent growth was done at Nagano University and 1 hour by small scooter and 7 hours for treatment at Toyota Gosei, the collaboration company, and 1 hour by small scooter to go back to Nagano University. Finally, although we realized P-type gallium nitride and PN junction LEDs, I was disheartened by my inability to realize my first dream, that is full-color flat panel displays by LEDs. And people at Nichia Corporation and Toyota Gosei succeeded in producing and manufacturing blue LEDs, which led to the social implementation of full-color flat panel display and general lightings. And LED lightings helps people from fear of darkness. In 2015, Mr. Gantumu, Minister for Education and Science of Mongolia, visited us and gave me a word of gratitude. The reason is, according to him, for Mongolian people, the traditional lifestyle is the nomad life. Using the tent called gel, people move around. However, the life is very, very hard, especially they can use the incandescent lamp only 1 or 2 hours. So young Mongolian people abandon the nomad life and tend to have the fixed housing. That's the social problem, he said. But emergence of LED lamp changed the mind of young Mongolians. So the next year, 2016, I visited the one of the family who continued the nomad life, and I was so happy to see the LED lamp inside Gao. According to Nobel Foundation, LED lamp hold great promise for increasing the quality of life for over 1.5 billion people around the world who lack access to electricity grids. Due to its low power requirements, it can be powered by cheap local solar powers. So what's next? Power devices in power supply. The power supply is used for every electrically driven system like TVs, electric vehicle, refrigerator, air conditioner, and so on and so on. The power supply, the role of power supply is to control the energy, electric energy from AC to DC or DC to AC, or change the voltage or change the frequency. The reason why this material, gallium nitride, is also very promising for power device is because of the strongness. Compared with the conventional silicon power device, can reduce the loss to 1/10, and also the size 1/10. The gallium nitride is 10 times more efficient than silicon. And this material, gallium nitride, is already used for RF, which means high frequency and high power device. But and we realized 65% reduction of inverter loss. For example, Tesla, from Model S to Model 3, the inverter is changed drastically using the silicon carbide. The weight is 1/6 and the volume is a half. But the Tesla inverter is the shape is the USA map. But by using the gallium nitride inverter, we can further reduce the weight to a half or the volume a half. So we can provide the Japan map inverters. And this is the, we call it all GaN vehicles exhibited at Tokyo Motor Show in 2019. But in this electric vehicle, we have to use as many as 72 chips for inverter. We can reduce the number of chips to 6 if each chip the performance is good. The reason is we have to use the first generation gallium nitride. Gallium nitride thin film grown on sapphire silicon silicon carbide. So the defects, it is called the threading dislocation density as many as 10 to the 9th per square centimeters. I'd like to mention that for both gallium nitride grown sapphire or grown silicon, for both growth technology, Nanago University reported for the first time. However, as shown in this transmission electron microscopy, this vertical black line shows the defects. There are many, many defects inside the crystals. Low temperature buffer layer technology had contributed to illuminating the world, but for power device applications, it is not acceptable. So the second generation, we can purchase the freestanding gallium nitride grown on other techniques, HVPE. And the Blu-ray lasers are using this substrate. The Blu-ray lasers use this substrate. But if we characterize by X-ray topography, this is the first generation gallium nitride on silicon and the gallium nitride on sapphire. It's too dense of dislocations, so we cannot identify each dislocations. And the second generation, we can see the dislocation like this. And using this second generation gallium nitride, Dr. Usami, now assistant professor at Osaka University, tried to identify origin of leakage at threading dislocations. This is the voltage and the leakage current of the PN junction. There are several loss, like a conduction loss or switching loss, but another loss is here. If there is a leakage, we had the loss here. And some devices shows large leakage, which should be caused by the dislocations. So he tried to identify And from the backside, he observed the emission like this. And there are several emission points at high voltage, high reverse voltage of 550 volts. And he tried to identify the origin of the emission by using the cathode luminescence. This is the cathode luminescence image. And when compare the emission image and the cathode luminescence image, the emission position, at every emission position, there is a dark spot, which means that emission is caused by the dislocations. So the emission means the leakage. So leakage is caused by the dislocation. But not all the dark spot. For example, this area, there are many dark spots, but it does not cause leakage or emission. So he tried to identify the type of dislocations by etching molten KOH and found that there are three types of etching pits, small, medium, and large, and found that medium-sized dislocations causes leakage. So he tried to identify by the large angle convergent beam electron diffraction and found that the Barger spectral of medium-sized pits have the 0001, which means it is called the screw dislocations. Okay, so he tried to identify from where the dislocations are formed. So this is the single type dislocations found by two photoluminescence image, and the focal point is from the surface to the bottom. And you can see this defect, this dark spot is moving like this. But this case, this is separated to two dark spots, which means it is coalesced at the some thickness. So for single type dislocation, some shows the leakage, but even the single type, there's no leakage. And the coalesced type, this dislocation causes leakage, but this coalesced type dislocation does not cause leakage. So in the end, we could not identify which type of screw dislocations cause leakage. Then we moved to the third generation, very low dislocation density substrate grown by sodium flux method and SCAT LP. It's a kind of ammonothermal method. Both two technologies originate in Japan. And sodium flux method was conducted at Osaka University and tried to manufacture at Toyota Gosei and NGK. Now they can provide as large as 6-inch. And for ammonothermal method or SCAT LP, it is like a quartz crystal. It's like a hydrothermal method. With ammonothermal method, they could provide as large as 6-inch, 4-inch gallium nitride. And then our students try to fabricate the PN junction. And from the X-ray topography, we can identify the dislocation point. In this case, there are only 2 dislocations inside the device. And some device shows 0 threading dislocations like this. And we identify the leakage occurs at relatively high temperature, 400 Kelvin, over 400 Kelvin. So threading dislocations causes high leakage at high temperature, but at room temperature, the leakage current is very low. So we can use the gallium nitride substrate, which is very, very reliable. And many people worry about the cost of gallium nitride substrate, which is too expensive. So our collaborators, Dr. Tanaka, established a very interesting technology, which is laser slicing and recycling gallium nitride substrate to reduce the cost to only 5%. So we can reduce the 95% off. Okay, if we use one by one, the gallium nitride wafer cost is much expensive than silicon. But by using this technology, we can reduce the 95% loss. So the cost of gallium nitride is almost similar to silicon. And using this technology, the device performance from upper thin film and the lower bottom gallium nitride is almost the same. We don't worry about the degradation. So finally, I'd like to send a message to young people. Yeah, young people, now it's your turn. The future is yours. Do your best. That's all for my presentation. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Hiroshi Amano. Let me to say a few words in Romanian for our students. Dragi studenți, elevi, vreau să vin aici cu o informație așa adăugătoare. Domnul profesor, desigur că a expus unele etape ale activității de cercetare și cu mare așa pasiune, fiindcă le-a trăit. Domnul profesor a venit în cercetare și, mă rog, ca orice tânăr, a fost într-un laborator. Laboratorul avea o temă. Tema de la început era legată cu nitrura de galiu. Vreau să spun, nitrura de galiu este unul din principalele materiale electronice. Și atunci când domnul profesor a început, era materialul care la început era considerat promițător. Peste câțiva ani, în literatură, eu sunt din domeniu și cunosc, în literatură a apărut informația că materialul acesta nu este promițător, fiindcă tehnologia este destul de complicată și nu are materialul ăsta șanse. Sute de echipe au încetat să continue cercetările în domeniu. Iar domnul profesor, așa, cu insistență, a continuat. A venit o altă etapă, 3 ani care au fost în doctorantură, deci s-au terminat, iar problema n-a fost soluționată. Mulți în așa cazuri sunt dezamăgiți și pleacă în altă parte. Numai nu domnul profesor Hiroshi Amano. Deci a considerat că ăsta e destinul lui și trebuie să continue. Deci a fost angajat profesor asociat la catedră, a continuat. Mai departe, iarăși, au fost lucrări că materialul ăsta nu poate să ajute la soluționarea problemei luminii albastre. Era o mare problemă. De ce avem noi display-ele astăzi? pentru că sunt trei culori principale, roșie, verde și albastră, și dau orice culoare în ansamblu. Și iarăși, foarte multă lume a încetat să continue activitatea în domeniu. Numai nu domnul profesor Hiroshi Amano, care a fost foarte insistent și a continuat crezând în destinul său. Și rezultatul este că domnul profesor Hiroshi Amano, care a început și a trecut prin unele bariere, în doctorantură n-a soluționat problema și în final este expertul numărul 1 în lume în ceea ce ține de lumina albastră și svetodiode de lumină albă, care astăzi sunt implementate peste tot. Laureat al premiului Nobel în fizică, a câștigat premiul în 2014 și noi ne mândrim că este și membru de onoare al Academiei de Științe a Republicii Moldova.